Welcome to Violin Adventures number 259. Now there's 3 sections that we'll cover. First, I'll play the harp so you can hear how it sounds. Second, I'm going to put all the weather together in one place. And then third, we're going to do some more work on the violin. We get a lot of progress done. And then of course, the story and the Hebrew Minute. Hope you can sit back and enjoy. All right, it's time to play the harp and see how it sounds. Okay, I just tuned this up and it's taking a while to hold the tune. So I'm going to play it. Hopefully it will stay in tune while I play. All right, this is the beginning of the week. It is nice and sunny, but it is very cold. And tonight we may have a storm. All right, this is the next morning. We did have a storm. Well, it's nice and cold. Okay, it is quite cold out, so let's check and find out what the crunch meter is in the snow. Let's see what it sounds like. Oh, it's actually pretty soft. Let's go in where it's warm. All right, we're working on the back of the violin. I don't have the graduations done yet, but we're getting close. But it's got a good ring to it, and that always makes it so exciting. So what I'm going to do now is mark how thick it is all over the plate, and then I'll know exactly where to take off. The best thing to do on a cold winter's day is shape a violin. You can see our Appalachian Mountain is really building here, and it'll really get high when we get started on the top. But we're just going to finish up the back. I've got the dimensions really close now. Let's see where they're at. Well, we're about 3.5 up here, 3.5 to 4. And this is about 5.5. All right, we've got the back graduations finished. It's got a good ringing tone. So the next thing is to take the form out, separate the ribs from the form. Okay, I've loosened the blocks from the frame. Now we just got to get it off carefully. Oh, maybe it's not totally really. Yeah, here we go. There it is, free from the frame. Now we're going to glue the lining in, and then we can take it down. And it looks like I haven't bent the lining yet. While we're waiting for the glue to warm up, I'm going to drill the holes for the little wooden dowels that we'll put in here just to hold this right where we want it. There we are. Now we've got to start working on the top. All right, we've got, this is all flattened now, and the sides are all cleaned up. We've got the edging all smooth, and now we're getting on to one of the fun parts, another one of the fun parts, and that is getting ready to cut out the top. And I've got this all centered. Time for a story. Okay, we're continuing in our little book on the history of the violin, which was written 1800s. So we're continuing here talking about Italy, and we're going to finish it up today. The music of this period falls next to be noticed. Mr. Charles Reed, in his able articles on Cremona fiddles, which appeared in the August numbers of the Pall Mall Gazette for 1872, states, "Man invents only to supply a want." This observation is peculiarly applicable to the violin, for we find that with the advancement of musical composition came the desire to attain greater perfection in the art of violin making. This is illustrated by the fact that the performance of modern music would be next to impossible on one of the old violins by reason of the then shortness of the neck. Hence arises the necessity for refitting old violins with longer necks, thus giving the performer greater command over the high notes and adding largely to the strength of the instrument. The use of the violin in the orchestra began to receive recognition with the dawn of the 17th century. Monteverdi, in his opera of Orfeo, printed in 1615, scores for 2 little French violins. Without referring to the periods anterior to the 17th century, concerning which we have little or no information, we know that during the first 2 generations of that century, music in Italy was mostly in the madrigal style. The capabilities of instrumental music, apart from the voice, however, were soon discovered, and composers entered gladly upon a new and wide field of musical effort. The compositions were usually comprehended under the names of studies, fantasies, capricci, sonatas, concertos, and other pieces in various styles. Corelli has been accredited with fixing the form of the sonata, and Torelli, his contemporary, with inventing the concerto. Such was the style of music, so far as the violin is concerned, from the time of Corelli to the commencement of this century. Although Italy has since had to yield the palm for instrumental music to other countries, we must not overlook the fact that for generations she held undisputed sway in the realm of music, both as regards composers and performers. So next time we'll start with France. The Hebrew Minute. Ata satir li mitzar titzreni rane pelet tesuveni sila. You are my hiding place from trouble or distress. You preserve me. You compass me about with songs of deliverance, or with shouts of deliverance. If you know where this is found, please leave it in the comments below. It's been about 3 days since the snow, but it's an interesting sight because the grass is green, but the trees still have snow on them. Also, the porch is still snowy. But if you zoom in here, I'll zoom in onto the trees here, and you can see the snow is still in the branches. Well, here it is, a Friday afternoon. It's a nice, crisp, and cold day. Let's go inside and see what's going on. Oh, the shop is nice and warm. You can see our Appalachian Mountain from here. We've got the ribs on, and the back now is waiting for the top. There's our mountain growing higher and higher, and there's the top. It's all finished, finished the shape, and also scraped it all smooth. Over here we've got the harp, we've got the professor's violin. We're also working on a neck repair, a nice old violin, and the neck just came out. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your wonderful comments, for your thumbs up, and thank you to the new subscribers. And until next time, bye.